Hey guys, Dixie here. Welcome back. I'm going to make a video today that I didn't think I would make. However, I was inspired this last week to make it. I've seen a few of these type of videos going around, particularly around the mid-year freak out tag time, and they are basically booktubers on here kind of listing off their 5-star reads so far in 2026. And I didn't think much of making my own video like this. This channel isn't going to be just like a typical, I make what everyone else makes channel. However, my friends Lauren and Ben over at Youngs and the Restless recently made a video with this tag. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious that they had so many 5-star reads. And I looked back through what I'd read this year, and granted, it's not as much in volume. I didn't read as much as they did. However, I only found basically 2.5 books that I gave 5 stars to. If you watch their channel, I mean, they had a ton of these books. So I thought that was kind of funny, and I thought I would just share briefly the 2.5, I'll explain later, books that I deemed 5-star worthy so far this year. I haven't read a ton this year. Usually I read about 50 books a year, and this year has not been as many. I had a very stressful job at the beginning of the year that I finally quit. So I'm hoping to kind of spend a little bit more time reading and hopefully finding some more 5-star reads. Caveat, I've only read 19 books this year so far. So the 2.5 ratio out of that isn't terrible. I'm not one of those people that's like a real stickler about who I give a 5-star to. I'm pretty loosey-goosey about it. If I really liked your book, I'll give it a 5 stars. So there just weren't many, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I do have 2 of the books I read as physical books. One I read as a Kindle book. But I think just for ease of this video and to not just kind of in and out ya with the cover, I'm going to then just post the cover next to me here. So the first book, I just gave it away. I do have notes down here, so if you see me looking down, I will be reading the notes, so this isn't just a scattered mess. But the first book I'll show, even though I'm going to show it, Mad Mabel. I made a whole video reviewing Mad Mabel because I received it as an ARC, as a Goodreads giveaway win. And there were like over 10,000 people, I believe, that entered that particular one. And it seems on Goodreads giveaways, I only win books that are, self-published and didn't have a lot of people entering. And the thing about Mad Mabel was I got it in the mail one day. I didn't even realize I'd won it. So it was quite a surprise. I believed this book to be a 4-star until the end, which just sent it for me. It definitely kicked it up to 5-star. Mad Mabel is by Sally Hepworth. She is an Australian writer who I kind of got into during the pandemic. So those of you that don't know, I really got into audiobooks during the pandemic, especially thrillers. And Sally Hepworth kind of falls under the umbrella of thriller, but in my opinion, she is more like a literary fiction / thriller writer. Her works have a little bit more elevated tone and language and characterization, in my opinion. I have read on audio The Good Sister, which I gave 5 stars, The Mother-in-Law, which I gave 5 stars, and The Soulmate, which I gave 3 stars. Now she has, I believe, 9 books out so far. So having read 4 of the 9, I gave 3 of them 5 stars. So somebody who I obviously really enjoy reading. This was actually, Mad Mabel was my first of her books that I didn't read as an audiobook. And I don't know if it made much a difference. I mean, I guess there were a few sentences in here which I will share with you that I thought were really beautiful. And I think having seen them as opposed to hearing them made them stick out even more. I did a full plot summary of this book in my review, but I'll just kind of recap it very briefly here. The book is centered around the main character, who is actually named Elsie Mabel Fitzpatrick. However, the moniker like Mad Mabel is something that was given to her. She's a relatively recluse older woman, kind of sweet older woman who has a real sassy best friend. And she lives in this kind of quiet little neighborhood. And Mabel finds her neighbor dead. Granted, he was very old. And this was because she had a little girl in the neighborhood that just kept coming and bothering her, even though she obviously is more keeping to herself and her best friend, and that's it. But this little precocious girl just kind of kicks in the door to her life and then starts off this journey of figuring out who Mabel really was. It turns out she was pretty famous, that there was a trail of deaths in her wake when she was younger. And I think that is probably all I will go into as far as a plot summary, because I don't want to give too much away. I will say there are podcasters that find out about her. So basically finding that dead guy and some other things have brought her into the public's attention, which she was obviously trying to hide from. And so she is partially telling her story to podcasters that are kind of doing a big tale on her life. And I thought that was kind of neat. An older lady, and it's very like intergenerational with that little girl. And then the podcasters are, I think, in their early 20s or something like that. There's a lot of humor, there's a lot of heart, there's a little bit of intrigue. To me, this wasn't a thriller of any kind, but I could see where people could argue that. And I'm just a sucker for stories with elderly folks at the center. I even wrote one myself, so I really, really love that aspect. If you don't like older narrators or older people, you probably skip this one. There are people like that, by the way, that don't like the elderly. I actually had a roommate once who was terrified of old people. So that's why I bring that up. The ending of this book, like I said, kicked it up to 5-star. I was blown away. I couldn't believe what had happened, but in a very good way. Very good way, and explained a lot of what had been going on in the book prior. So I, as some of you may know, collect beautiful sentences, and I cherish really good writing. So I'm going to read just a couple sentences from her book here so you can kind of get an idea for her tone, because I think it's worth celebrating that she is, like I said, more literary in her style, even though she's considered a thriller writer. So this is from page 11. This child is chubby and has a mouse brown bob and smallish eyes, plain as a mud fence. She's also missing enough teeth that she resembles a 16th century beggar. Love it. And then from chapter 33, we have, I hadn't appreciated what a privilege it had been not feeling fear. And as anybody who's had panic attacks knows, this is, or just a nervous system that's wound up from severe anxiety. Such a hard-hitting sentence. I'll read it again. I hadn't appreciated what a privilege it had been not feeling fear. And obviously that struck a chord with me. So those are just a couple little tidbits from this book. I highly recommend it, and I recommend it to pretty much anybody, this book. I actually, at Half Price Books, they had a copy of it that was sitting out in a prominent spot, and I saw someone nearby that was just browsing, total stranger, and I said, you should read that book. So that's how crazy I am about this book. So that's Mad Mabel. First 5-star I'm going to discuss. The last 5-star I read. So I'm doing these in reverse order. So this is the latest one that I read that was 5-star, and that was on April 22nd. As of recording this, it is August 13th, and I have not, since April 22nd until now, read anything even close, in my mind, to a 5-star. So, we gotta do better. The second book I want to discuss is, hands down, will be my favorite book of the year, which is Lost Lambs by Madeline Cash. And I don't think I actually even talked about it on this channel. To me, the best. It is the best. I have a copy here, so I will be referring to it, but I will post the picture here. It was published in 2026, like Mad Mabel, I guess I'm really on top of the new releases this year. I usually read older books, so that's kind of odd. I don't really remember why I picked this up. I think I was browsing at Barnes & Noble because I had a gift card for $25. I remember this vaguely. And the cover of it drew me in, and then the synopsis, and I always flip to the first few pages and read, and I was blown away, so I had to pick it up. It is literary fiction. It's kind of my jam, but it's by someone, Madeline Cash, who is young. She is in her mid-20s, I want to say, and she's kind of part of this like New York scene of young writers that she used to have a magazine. I don't know if it's still going on. It's called Forever Magazine. And it's like really, really hip and cool and artsy. And it's honestly, I think it's like $20+ an issue, or it was. I'm not sure if it's still going on. She had a short story collection published called Earth Angel in 2023, which I will read. I have not gotten to yet. And it looks like she has kind of a varied background in journalism, doing op-ed and interview pieces. So I think and hope that she is part of a growing renaissance of literary fiction writers. And I am very, very excited for that. One Goodreads user said of this book, and I thought this was perfect, they said, if Wes Anderson wrote Little Women. And that was their description of Lost Lambs. And when I finished it, I got Royal Tenenbaums vibes completely. So if you like that film or any of Wes Anderson's work, you will love this book. Hands down. I guarantee it. You will love it. I should be lurking in the bookstore and promoting this book like I did with Mad Mabel. The plot summary, I will kind of just do a real high level of, because if I get too far into detail, it could probably take me quite a while. Basically, it's a modern family saga that follows different POVs of the entire family. It's a father, daughter, and 3 daughters. And they're all, as Goodreads says, coming undone, which I thought was really cool. If you think about like Little Miss Sunshine and how each of those characters had a problem. It had something they're going through. It's similar to the style here. And then a billionaire shipping magnate kind of comes into their lives and threatens to kind of destroy everyone, everything, but then ends up kind of bringing them together. And the book is hilarious. It's poignant. It's oozing style. So if you really appreciate like sentence level beauty, you will love this. She has a tone and a style that is very distinct, and I appreciate it so much. To me, this is the equivalent of going to an art museum and just staring and staring at a piece of art and just being blown away. So I did highlight, because I want to describe with her own words what I mean by that. So I will read just a few quick passages. And not only is her description good, her dialogue is bang on. Just funny and absurd and lovely and peculiar. I would describe her style as peculiar. Okay, so let's start here. Louise was in a prison of her own mundanity. She'd taken to intentionally throwing out the metal forks with the food scraps when she scraped her dinner plate, just so that she might feel a momentary rush. So specific, so artful. If not profound beauty, inner or not, couldn't she at least have generational wealth or a major disability? What? Love it. I'm going to read just a couple more quickies here. I'm still an artist, said Catherine. What's your medium, huh? Bud continued. Not doing the dishes, the artistic way you polish off a wine bottle. Artful dialogue. Maybe not all cops, but your father in particular was a bad cop. How dare you? Incredibly racist. He was not. At Thanksgiving, he told me that Chinese people are just like ants because there's a million of them and they all look exactly the same. Wild. Come on, said Catherine. Am I really the woman of your dreams? Who cares, said Bud. You're the woman of my reality. Marital strife at its finest, people. And the last one I'll read is, Wes watched the man polish his meal to the literal bone, leaving a graveyard on the table. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. So that's Lost Lambs. I look forward to reading more of her work, and I will definitely be buying every single one. So that is, I think, my favorite book of the year. And now, here's where we get to the 2.5. So those first two were obviously full-length novels. The half is for The Answer Is No by Frederick Bachman, which came out in January of 2024. And I consider it a novella. I think other people consider it a short story. It's about 68 pages. It was published by Amazon Original Stories, which apparently are stories. I didn't know about this. Maybe I'm in the dark here. Are stories that Amazon kind of gathers and publishes from famous and non-famous, just regular people. And they're designed to be read in a single sitting. So that's what this story is. So I guess I don't really consider this a full book, given its length. Frederick Bachman is a well-known author. Specifically, his largest work is A Man Called Uwe. And that spawned a show, I believe, in Europe, as well as the Tom Hanks film version that came out a few years ago. He is hands down one of my favorite authors that are currently writing. He has a sentimental literary style, and some people might find it kind of cheesy, I guess, but I don't. I find it very sincere. He is Swedish. He's from Sweden, so all of our books in America that we read are translations, which is shocking to me how beautiful they are, and it makes me wonder if the original text is even greater, or if the translator is just an artist on their own right. He has 9 novels, which I've read all of, 2 novellas, 1 essay book, and then this story that came out on Amazon. I will read everything he puts out, but some of it I don't love, I'll be honest. Anxious People was one I didn't love. But even so, the way he writes character and the humor and heart in his work, I really connect with, and I will still read everything he writes. My favorite is probably one of his most controversial books, which is called Beartown. It's actually a trilogy. The following subsequent books from Beartown I did not enjoy as much, I will say. Some of my friends genuinely hated Beartown. So I'm gonna say that with a caveat. So look into it. If you're going to read him, you might want to start with A Man Called Uwe, just to kind of get his style down if you've not read him before. The plot summary of this book is, I'm going to keep very brief because it's such a short book. Basically, a man who's fully content and desiring to be completely left alone. And he lives a quiet life, but then people start coming in. So he lives in an apartment building, and his neighbors come to him with a kind of crazy accusation, and then he gets involved in this whole thing. Kind of absurd. So if you like strange and absurd, it kind of reminded me of like a late 90s, early 2000s indie film plot that's kind of more artistic and kind of strange and metaphorical. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was really cool, and it was a good quick read as intended. So that's all I will say about The Answer Is No by Frederick Bachman. And that's it. Those are the only books that made my list. I am very busy right now DNFing every book that comes across my eyeballs in the hunt for more 5-star bangers. I haven't had much luck, and I'm getting really sick of mediocre books. So you'll probably hear about or see some books that I DNF'd, especially this month. I've kind of had it. I will not read crap. I'm done. I love hearing from you guys. I've had some great conversations in the comments section, and I would love to hear your guys' 5-star reads of the year. How many have you had? I'm sure you've had more than me. I hope you've had more than me. I also just love hearing just your feedback, and if you've read any of these, if you disagree with me, great. If you agree with me, great. It doesn't matter. I want to hear your thoughts. So until next time, keep reading.